Yo, guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Marijuana Essay Weekly. And today we're going to be going over a power map that Dean and Luke put together last night. We have to wait for the doc to be able to do these things, and it does take a long time, so sorry it was a bit delayed, but we are very excited to bring you the results. Dean, a little hint on how it's looking?
So yeah, it was super fun testing the light as always. I've actually prepared a few images for us to have a look at of the testing, but the results were really good. Of all the lights we've tested so far, this is the first sort of 6-bar fixture that has sort of quite a large area that it takes up, just the unit itself. I mean, this is sort of a one by 1 meter unit, but yeah, really good results, and I think everyone's going to be pleased to see that we did get some quality results in the end.
Yeah, while you bring up some pics of the testing conditions, just as a bit of an explainer, guys, make sure to join our Facebook group that we started last week. We figured it'd be a nice place to have a bit of discussion with you guys and some Q&A, and just share some photos and share some grow tips and stories. We do obviously put a lot of content on YouTube, but we find that Facebook's actually quite engaging between us and yourselves, so please go join, help join the small community there that we're building up, and as always, make sure to like and subscribe. Sick photos.
So basically, the stand isn't 100% ideal, but we thought it would kind of work because all the major points were shown. What you can see in front of you is you'll see sort of an inner square made out of white stickers. That inner square is 1 meter by 1 meter. And then we have an outer square. You can kind of see the sticky tape lines leading up to it. And the outer square is 1.4 meters by 1.4 meters. So basically, we're looking at a test of two different, a 2 meter and a 1 meter squared. And we also conducted the test at 3 different heights. We did the test at 100 centimeters, 50 centimeters, and 30 centimeters, all done by sort of hanging the light in an empty room. We waited till dark. When the light was off, the room was completely dark. Both meters were reading naught. And then we tested the lux, and we also tested the PPFD in the dimensions that I've just mentioned. We only took 1 lux reading though, because that's just more out of an interest sake than anything else. So really, really exciting. And I think this is a nice image because you can see the unit, you can see the color, you can see the red chips, and all in all, a very exciting test. Like I said, of all the tests we've done, I think between Andrew and myself, we've conducted close to maybe 10 of these over the period. So far, it's been a very interesting light.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I think I can just bring up just quickly hop over onto.
While you're bringing that up, so I just want to give you guys a bit of insight. I mean, if you're not too familiar with what a PPFD and power map is, essentially we take the light and we've got this very fancy friggin' monitor, Apogee MQ500, which is it measures the PPFD, which is photon flux photosynthetic photo. Oh.
These
photosynthetic photon flux density is what it is. I'm blanking a bit. But yeah, we measure that. That's how much usable light is coming out of the light, and then we measure it at different points. So you obviously have your center point, and if the light's coming down at a center point and that's got a certain usable amount of light coming out at it, then that's the usable, as Dean's showing there. And then they also have on the outskirts how much usable light's coming out there. And now this is different. It's not lux, which is sort of the what you see when you have a normal light, or lumens or candle power. You see all these different things. That's just like total light, or light that's coming out. But PPFD is sort of because it's the stuff that plants are able to use. It's within a specific spectrum of it, and that way we can see exactly how much the plants are required. And there's sort of a benchmark, during different stages of life cycle you need a certain PPFD, and that's a sort of our benchmark that we've measured it on. And then we take it and we divide that by the wall draw at 1 point, so that we have a PPFD per watt. It's not a very common sort of thing, but that's how we look at our efficiency. You know, we want to get the maximum ppfd per watt, but then you also want to factor in the spread, which we're also gonna explain. So you guys also, this is very much a visual podcast, so do hop over to the YouTube to check all these visuals. All right, Dean, let's have a look at this thing.
Just quickly on that, like it used to be like gram per watt per with HPS, so that was kind of a thing. But now, like, because it's so hard to gauge, and you still sometimes want to give people an indicator, I like to do the ppfd per watt calculation to work out sort of what light is best value for money. So it's like still a bit of a ballpark because there's other factors involved, but it gives you a good indication. Cool. So let's hop into the document. We've developed our own certificate of analysis for this product with some interesting information. It's a 730 watt actual draw unit. Just what's interesting about this unit for someone watching this video for the first time, this unit is run by a 600 watt LUMii electronic ballast, which would be an HID ballast. So that's something quite interesting about the light.
And like if you guys don't know the light as well, just there's a episode 2 weeks back where we go over the light in like full detail.
Yeah, which is really a really good episode if you want to break more into the tech. Overall size in use 110 by 108 by 5 centimeters. So that's sort of the dimensions of the light as you would see it spread out in the product photo. The LUMii, the LED type, the information released is that it's a LUMii branded or procured horticultural LED, and it does emit in a spectrum for good for veg and for flower. So you only need one light in the grow space, and you'll still be able to sort of see everything as you would under daylight. So that's kind of the more sort of product ID technical information. And then we get through to our lux efficiency and our ppfd efficiency.
Yeah, you also got to factor in with these. So one thing that we don't test on this is sort of your lifespan of the light, though they do give a long warranty on it and certain guarantees and such like that. There is it's a new with them using sort of unknown LEDs. You might see a sort of decline in lumens or ppfd per watt down the line. In 5 years' time. A lot of the, hence why I'm not too sure if the facilities will jump on this, but so far anecdotally, the grow clubs that we support and the home growers that we support are absolutely loving this light. It's been a real showstopper. So let's have a look at the lux and efficiency by height. This is just like with a lux meter. It's like a $2,000 meter. It basically measures the total light output at a certain point, includes all the full, more the visible spectrum, not necessarily the amount that the plant's going to be using only. So it's kind of so I wouldn't think too much on it. It's just an interesting one to compare side by side versus other ones. 69,000 lux at 30 centimeters, 52,300 at 50 centimeters, and 25,200 at 100 centimeters. And then we take that lux and we divide it by the watts, and we get a sort of lux efficiency. Not really a showstopper, but if you compare them side by side, it is interesting. Another thing to note is when you guys are looking at these side by side, you have to keep remembering the spread. We have light like our E500, which is like a UFO like dome, and that's got like a central cob, like a very high powered cob chip with a very refractive lens, but it's obviously going to have a super high ppfd or lux like in the center point, but then the off take. I mean, Dean, this is probably our biggest light, right?
Yeah, so like with that being said, we have tested other lights that came in at the 30 centimeter height with a higher ppfd or lux, but then it's kind of died off 30 not even 30 centimeters to the side. So this being one of our biggest lights yet, it is our biggest light. It's our biggest fixture so far, besides the ZX, which we also stock. But so those it's these new bar type LEDs, and the reason they're popular is because LEDs are very direct. So you want a big light so that it can get the spread area with lots of LEDs on it, and that's where we start to see the interesting results with the ppfd. The center point and sort of the 1 meter point are pretty consistent on the light.
At about 50, so I'm looking at the PPFD, guys. That's going to be looking at, that's now our photosynthetic photon flux density. It's the usable spectrum of light, and that's at a certain point. So from the light, what actually hits that piece of ground is right where the apogee meter sits. It's a little quantum sensor like this, and whatever hits that light at that certain point. These are the center points, so like right in the middle of the light, directly under it. Not the highest, obviously. Well, I mean, it's freaking at 30 centimeters, you're well over 800 ppfd, which is already amazing. Some of the other lights you might expect to see 1,600, but remember the spread is the huge factor here. And like I think the efficiencies vary on par with sort of standard. I mean, it is a very efficient light, and like, but yeah, that spread that you're going to get, and obviously the cost factor also need to pay a role in here. We should have, if we could adjust the price dynamically, we would have a rand per ppfd at certain points. So that we can kind of get a calculation on like how much rand you're paying for your efficiency. But yeah, we haven't. The prices just, they fluctuate too much with imports and our currency.
Yeah, and I also like the 50 centimeter at 1,000. So that's like perfect for a flowering period. And like most people are going to be flowering between 30 and 50 centimeters. So with all that being said, let's move on to our next page. Our next page, we have our PPFD and lux readings at distances from light source in sort of a more infographic style. And then we have the exciting part, which is our actual maps. I'm not quite sure how to zoom in on them though. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Nice. There we go.
Yeah, we go. So now we're in the money. This was basically the whole point of the whole test. You would have seen sort of this in similar forms for quite a few lights on the market. And I personally, this is the first piece of content like this I've seen come out related to a light test on this light, if we do say so ourselves. So we've got our 30 on the left, our 50 centimeters on the right, and our 100 centimeters on the far right. This is where you start to see the results of the larger light. The center block is the center, the middle block is 1 meter squared, and the outer block is 2 meters squared, so 1.4 times 1.4. Generally, most people are going to have be using this. I would suggest this light to be used in a 1.2 meter grow tent, or 2 of these lights to be used in a 1.2 by or 2.4 by 1.2, and you will have more than sufficient light and PPFD across that space. We see some interesting results of sort of 1, 2, 7, 8 in the center. And then on the left and right of that, we're averaging sort of about around 930. And then it's pretty consistent around the light for around 460 up to 500. And I found it interesting where some of the bars were placed, that even though we were leveling out very carefully, it just seems that like the way the light is built, it kind of strays a little bit to the one side being a little bit stronger, and that's the side that the power plug is not on. So I don't know, maybe there is I think with the way that the light has a fold, there is like a loss of efficiency on the fold a little bit, which is quite interesting. But for a 1.2 meter grow tent, with the 30% increase in reflection that you'd receive in a 1.2 meter grow tent, I think this light is going to be amazing for flowering, and I think you'll get really good results utilizing this light in the grow tent. Andy, what do you think about the results?
I wanted to add on that is like, I mean, guys, also take this with a pinch of salt. This is in a non-reflective space, so like I'm looking at these drop-offs here, and I know you guys at home are also looking at 2 meters. Bear in mind this is a 2 meter by 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters, which is a huge space, and this is right in the corner of that. Like the drop-off is massive, but I think with the reflective, you could probably expect to see 30% higher, sort of as you get closer to the outskirts. because there's no reflective light in the side. I mean, it's a white wall, but so minimal reflection, but you'd get a load more on a reflective surface. So do take that into note. But otherwise, I mean, I think 50 centimeters, you've got a good spread. You're also able to get in and work under it. I mean, at 100 centimeters, you've also got a really good spread. It's for the money. I mean, it's unbeatable almost.
And I just want to say, I've grown really, really dank harvests with like less readings on my corners than the far lesser readings. Sort of, I was pulling like 180 on my corners, maybe 500s on my middles, and then in my center getting about 800, and I was able to do a full spread in a grow tent of hard nugs. So like the 1.2 with these kind of PPFD readings, then increased by potential 30% by the mylar or whatever materials inside. I think you would see I think you'd see uniform results across the board, and I'm really interested to see what kind of yields people start to pull with this light. It's new to market, so I don't know of anyone that's completed a crop just yet, but the quantum meter is starting to tell some interesting results that I think we're going to see some cool stuff coming out.
Yeah, no, it was really nice to get this under the test and like into the conditions. I mean, this is what people want to know at the end of the day. And yeah, I think, I mean, on that, we don't want to it's a little bit more of a scientific episode, I think, guys, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it and get some value out of it. Please obviously make sure to try to support the Grow Shop. It always helps, and there's some links below, Facebook group, and make sure to always like and subscribe. And as always, peace, guys.